special board meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mrs. Benz Clemens.
Here.
Mrs. Cohen.
Here.
Mrs. Dolan. Ms. Kildare.
Here.
Mr. Kraus.
Here.
Mrs. Walters.
Here.
Dr. Yornell.
Here.
Okay, public comment. The Pennridge School Board welcomes public comment. According to Policy 903, we remind everyone of the following. Public comment shall be limited to 3 minutes unless otherwise specified by the board. Participants must be recognized by the presiding officer and note their name and municipality. All statements shall be directed to the presiding officer rather than to individual board members, district employees, or members of the public. A speaker may speak once during each comment period. Please note that these sessions are designated for comments to protect the confidentiality and privacy rights of all members of our community. The board encourages members of the public to direct any comments regarding particular individuals, such as students or district employees, privately to the superintendent or other appropriate administrators or board members, or to communicate with the board and superintendent privately by sending an email to psdschoolboard@pennridge.org. Questions raised and not addressed may be followed up at a later time. Any public comments?
Andrew Rumble, Berksey Borough. First, I just want to say that I appreciate the new board and the transparency that's being shown as far as having documents available online for the minutes. It's very refreshing, so I hope to see that continue in a positive direction. I just want to address the board real quickly about the Janus decision, which I'm sure you're all aware of. I want to read a quote from Mr. Janus, who was the plaintiff in the case. The way I look at this is it is the unions that have been free riding on me and 5 million public sector workers across the country. They have been getting our money in order to do their bidding, and so therefore they have been free riding on us, since many of us don't agree with what they are doing. This Janus ruling affects about 5 million government employees in 22 states who no longer will be required either to join a union or pay related fees as a condition of employment. What this effectively means is that union members now have to opt in to actually have dues deducted from their paycheck. Another quote is from a woman named Rebecca Friedrichs, who was an elementary school teacher who worked for 28 years in the public schools in Anaheim, California. And she was the lead plaintiff in a case before the Supreme Court in 2016 that raised the same First Amendment argument. And she said, quote, "We filed a brief asking the court for opt-in rights because the unions bully us when we try to opt out. Thank God the justice has heard our plea and granted opt-in. It's my hope that opt-in rights will make unions more accountable and protect teachers from more union abuse." So effectively, according to everything that I've read, is my understanding is that the district now has to have proactive written signed statements from employees that they wish to have dues deducted. Aside from that, the dues can no longer be deducted. So I'm going to be filing a right to know request in the coming days, asking for copies of all those positive affirmations and also copies of the payroll records. I'll read you real quickly from the Supreme Court decision. It says, quote, "The First Amendment is violated when money is taken from non-consenting employees for a public sector union. Employees must choose to support the union before anything is taken from them. Accordingly, neither an agency fee nor any other form of payment to a public sector union may be deducted from an employee, nor may any other attempt be made to collect such a payment unless the employee affirmatively consents to pay." Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? No? Okay. I'll just respond. Our attorney is aware of that decision and is working with the administration to make sure that we're in compliance with that. So thank you. Okay. Committee reports, the IU. There is one motion on the table. The motion is to approve the following appointment to the Bucks County Intermediate Unit Board. Mrs. Vanis Clemens for the remainder of Ada Miller's 3-year term. Do I have a motion? Motion by Mrs. Kildare. Do I have a second? Seconded by Mr. Kraus. Questions or comments from board members? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Can you try it? Oh, the service is good. Okay, next up, the personnel report. Mrs. Walters?
Okay, I need to make a motion to approve the superintendent personnel EDR report.
Can you speak up, please?
Can you hear me now? A motion to approve the cabinet salaries for, oh, I jumped ahead. Sorry, what's the next one? Motion to approve the superintendent's personnel EDR report dated July 10th.
Okay, motion by Mrs. Walters. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Cullen. Questions or comments from board members? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0.
Okay, the next item is a motion to approve the cabinet salaries for the 2018-2019 school year.
Okay, motion by Mrs. Walters. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Kraus. Questions or comments from board members? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 6-0.
Okay, and the last item is a motion to approve the board secretary stipend in the amount of $3,000 for the 2018-2019 school year.
Okay, motion by Mrs. Walters. Do we have a second? Seconded by Dr. Yarnell. Questions or comments from board members? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Okay, finance. I'll make a motion to approve the service agreement between Pennridge School District and Tom Josiah Consulting LLC. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Cullen. Questions or comments from board members? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Okay. PSBA conference delegates. Every year we send 2 delegates to vote at the PSBA conference in Hershey. Motion to approve Megan Banis Clemens and Joan Cullen as voting delegates at the 2018 PSBA conference held in Hershey, PA from October 17th to 19th, 2018. Do I have a second? Okay, seconded by Ms. Campbell. Questions or comments from board members?
So the PSBA is the Pennsylvania School Boards Association, and it's the annual conference for anyone who's not aware. And I think it is valuable for the school board to send people. I've gone a couple of times now, and I've appreciated the sessions that I've attended and brought back information that has served me well. So I look forward to going again and congratulating you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Okay, next up, there will be the appointment of 2 new school board members. We had 15 people submit their names for consideration, so we appreciate all of the interest. A lot of times it's difficult to get people to volunteer, and so it makes our job a lot more difficult when we have so many people with all different skill sets to volunteer for us. So we appreciate that. The process included sending a letter of interest and resume to Mrs. Anita Cron, as well as completing a questionnaire online. What we did was we took questions that have been used in interview settings in the past, and we used those same questions online and had interested applicants fill out those questions and submit them. And the administration was able to print all of that out and put all the applications together and give copies to individual board members. So we were able to evaluate all of the applicants. That was the process that we went through. I will be opening the floor to nominations, and anyone can nominate, any of the board members can nominate any of the applicants, and you can, there's no limit to that. We don't need a second when you nominate for the applicants. Then I will close nominations, and then I will open the floor to vote individually on each of the people who have been nominated, and the 2 candidates who receive the most votes will be the new board members. There needs to be a majority of the people here for each of those candidates. So if we don't have a majority for 2 people, when we vote the first time, we will re-vote and narrow it down until we get to 2 people having at least 4 votes, since we have 6 people here. Okay, and then those 2 individuals will be sworn in by Judge Armitage, who's here for us, and they will come up and join us for the next 2 committee meetings. So, I'm going to open the floor to nominations. Are there any nominations?
I would like to nominate Dave Rice.
Can you all speak up, please?
I would like to nominate Dave Rice, I believe it's.
Okay. Any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate Sherry Thompson.
Any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate Dr. Thomas Viviano.
Any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate Jen Lang.
Okay. Anyone else? No? Okay, then I will close nominations. And we'll vote in order as they were nominated. So first I'll call a vote and, should we do a roll call vote? So this will be a vote for Dave Rice.
Mrs. Vance Clemens,
Yes?
Mrs. Cullen,
Yes.
Mrs. Dolan, Mr. Kraus,
Yes.
Ms. Kildare,
Can you all speak up?
Mrs. Walters,
Yes.
Dr. Yarnell.
Yes.
So that's 5-1. And next was Sherry Thompson. So could you do another roll call for that? And since it was 5-1, so that is enough votes for that person? For Dave Rice, so he would be.
And Mrs. Vance Clemens,
Yes?
Mrs. Cullen,
Yes.
Ms. Kildare,
Yes.
Mr. Kraus,
Yes.
Mrs. Walters,
Yes.
Dr. Yarnell.
No.
So no one, you can only vote for 2, and these people already got more than the 4, or more than the 3, so now the voting is over.
Did everybody vote?
Did everybody vote?
It doesn't matter,
Right,
we
okay, I'm
have 2
sorry.
majorities, so you have to get at least 3, so since
All
there's
right,
2 got
sorry,
at
I was
least
just, I got confused.
then it closes. Okay, so Dave Rice and Sherry Thompson, welcome to the school board.
Thank you.
Did either of you want to come up and say, introduce yourselves? If you would like to, you can.
I will.
Sure, go ahead.
Just right here, or?
You can come up to the podium.
I'm Sherry Thompson. I'm from
Turn
Percy
the mic on,
Borough.
please.
Oh, sorry. There we go. Can you hear me now? Yes. I'm Sherry Thompson. I live in the borough of Percy, and I'm a longtime resident. I raised both of my children at Pennridge High School. They both graduated. They're 21 and 23 working members of the community. I am the Director of Operations in a small land development company. I have a master's in public administration, which I'm excited to use. And I am seeking a doctorate in business administration and strategy and innovation. I have a certificate in mediation, which I also employ quite frequently, and quite an extensive educational background. I really love my community. I'm really excited to serve here and be a part of this process. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Dave Rice. Been a community member for, it seems like forever. I grew up in the Pennridge School District. I graduated in 1987. I raised my family here. I've had 3 of my children attend Pennridge High School. I believe in community involvement. I believe in getting involved in everything. President of Pennridge Little League, I've been involved with that, with the Little League for the past 16 years. I've been involved in West Hartfield Township Park and Recreation. I've been involved with that for 10 years. An active member in the community, just to see everybody get involved. I'd like to see the more people, the better it is to get people involved, and the happier it is to get more resolution, get more ideas. You can bring people together. I think it's a great organization. I love the school district, so I appreciate your time, and I appreciate your votes. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, sorry.
Are you moving on? I would just want, before you moved on, I thought we were going to have time to say something, but if you don't mind, I just wanted to thank all the applicants. Because I looked at the list of questions and I know that it seemed daunting to me. So for 15 people to apply, I appreciated that, the effort that everyone made to apply, and I hope this won't be the end of your involvement in the school district. Like Mrs. Banis-Clemens said, we have 15 people and it was very difficult to try and decide between them. So I'm hoping that you'll stick around to be involved more in the future. So thanks again.
Thank you.
I just kind of want to piggyback on what Jane said. I want to say thank you for taking time to apply and knowing that you would be giving up a lot of time. And I hope we can see you still on contributing to some events as well.
Thank you. Would the two of you step forward and we'll have you sworn in?
Do you want us up there?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Judge Armitage. I know a couple faces up here. Hi, everybody. For those who don't know me, you may know Judge Charlie Baum. I have the area of New Britain, Hilltown, Silverdale, Chalfont, and New Britain Township and Borough. And recently, I inherited Pennridge, Telford, and Sellersville. So, I appreciate that I was invited up here tonight to swear in new school board members. I have to say, I love the area. I've been here before as the evil nemesis when my daughter played volleyball on West. So we were the opposing team, but it's still nice to be back and see the school. So with that, I would love to swear you both in. Do you do the Bible or no? I know sometimes I've done it. You just raise a hand. Okay. I'm so sorry. I'm used to the court formality. Okay, if you want to raise one hand. I, Sherry Thompson.
I, Sherry Thompson.
Sherry Thompson, and I,
David Rice.
David Rice, do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and that I will discharge the duties of my office
and I will discharge the duties of my office
discharge the duties of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Oh, you could have said that last part together. Congratulations, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for your time and volunteer. That's important. Very important.
Thank you.
Oh, do you? Oh, geez, thank you. There you go.
Yeah.
A little bit in date.
Come on.
Good.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, thank you. I'm on call tonight, so I do have to go. It was good seeing you. Nice to feel your face. You need a signature. Okay, I'll get them.
next regular school board meeting is scheduled for July 23rd at 7 p.m. in this room, LGI 3.3 of the Pennridge High School. An executive session will be held after the Finance and Facilities Committee meetings this evening to discuss personnel matters. And we're back to questions and comments from guests.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Viviano from Percy. I wanted to thank Dr. Yarnell for his vote of confidence. I'm relatively new to the area, and I thought I could pitch in. If I could ever do anything for you, please let me know. If I could offer a little bit of advice from this old guy who's been around education for a long time, disagree with dignity, right, and confront in a caring way, okay? And because confrontation and disagreement is healthy when done appropriately. So I congratulate the new members, and I congratulate you all for, looks like you're moving forward in a great direction. So, thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Did we have to sign up for this part of it?
Nope, you are welcome to come up.
I will sit there.
Good evening, I'm Joyce Stemler. I served on this board for 10 years. I applied, and 5% of me is disappointed, and 95% of me is thrilled I didn't make it. Thank you for the opportunity to do it. I mainly threw my hat in case no one else applied. I was an experienced body, but you didn't need me, and that's good. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay.
Andrew Rumble from Percy again. I think it was fitting that we just witnessed the swearing in and the oath that all of you and myself as a public official has taken to uphold and obey the Constitution. And as far as what the Supreme Court has just rendered in the Janus decision, I would like to say I would like to see that happen in terms of the negotiation of the teacher contract. As you know, it was stated, the free ride is over. The unions should be collecting their own dues. The district should no longer be taking that function on. I fully support the voluntary right of any person to belong to an organization, but public resources should not be used to collect dues for a private political organization. And I would also, because I'm aware that this is going to be online, I would also like to say that I think that any teacher who's a good teacher and thinks that they don't need the union to negotiate should opt out of the union. And I would encourage that. The time is now to do it while there's no contract. So I would like to just say that to anybody out there that thinks they can negotiate on their own behalf, and they should certainly opt out. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay.
Adam Benchik, East Rock Hill. I would like to, despite the comments of, I think what is a minority opinion in which we just heard, that remind people of what unions have done in our country. Without unions, we'd probably still have children working in sweatshops. If you look, you can see what not having unions in the public do right now. If you just look at states like Arizona, West Virginia, and Oklahoma, where they had wide teacher walkouts, like wide range, that they can't afford meals, they don't get anything. And that's what's going to happen here if we do ignore the unions, if you do have teachers opt out. So I just want people to keep that in mind.
We just heard two comments on opposing things about the unions. I want to point out that there are two different types of unions in this country. One is with private industry. Those unions have to strike and ask for benefits within certain bounds because they know that ultimately their company has to be competitive, not just with other domestic vendors, but international. So they limit their demands by the fact that their host company has to stay in business and be viable. The public unions have no such restraint placed on them. With the stroke of a pen, 9 people in this community can raise taxes. Now, they are limited somewhat by the state, but they are not limited by any condition of bankruptcy of anybody or anything like that. You don't see it. It happens over at the court. So there's a huge difference between the two unions. My home state is West Virginia, and yes, those teachers walked out. My mother was a teacher, and trust me, she worked for practically nothing, although it was back when everybody worked for nothing. But that state's tax base was devastated by the war on fossil fuels. And the population doesn't have the jobs, doesn't have the economy it once had, thanks to certain policies, again, by the government. So the government doesn't restrain itself. And so when you look at the two unions, when he talks about child labor, there were never any children working for the government. They worked in the coal mines. So let's remember, we've got two different unions, we've got two different safety issues, and it's not the same animal. So to sit here and say, oh, well, if it weren't for public unions, we would have child labor, that's false. That was in the private industry. It's been fixed. And again, the private union has a restraint that that host company has to stay in business or they all lose their jobs. Government union workers don't feel that pressure. So you have to restrain the taxation based on the fact that you are impacting every household in this district. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. I'd just like to, again, thank everyone who applied and took the time to submit all of your information. We really appreciate it. I'm hopeful that we can find other ways to get you all involved. And we really had a tough choice. There were many of you that I would have supported tonight. So, and I'm sure others feel that way as well. So we really appreciate you getting involved and your time. I think that's all we have tonight. Make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Seconded by Ms. Kildare. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, we're adjourned.